make mention of UFOs and it will likely conjure up imagery of flying saucers and diminutive, black-eyed, large-headed ETs, and alien abductions. At least some UFOs, however, may have absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with visitors from faraway solar systems and galaxies. Welcome to the world of a man named Trevor James Constable. Having investigated the UFO phenomenon extensively, Constable penned 2 books on the subject. They Live in the Sky was published in 1958 and Sky Creatures followed 2 decades later. In deeply studying the UFO phenomenon, Constable came to a fascinating conclusion concerning what he believed to be the truth of the mystery surrounding flying saucers. Constable's conclusion was that UFOs are not nuts and bolts craft from distant worlds, but living creatures that inhabit the highest levels of the Earth's atmosphere. While many UFO investigators scoffed at Constable's undeniably unique ideas, none could deny that his theory was well thought out. Describing them as critters, Constable believed the creatures to be unicellular and amoeba-like, but having metallic-like outer shells, which gave them their flying saucer-style appearances. He also believed they varied in size from extremely small to lengths approaching half a mile, which, admittedly, accords with what UFO witnesses tell us. The assumed alien craft that people have reported do indeed vary from a few inches to massive, so-called motherships. If the skies of our planet are constantly populated by an untold number of airborne critters, then why don't we see them for what they really are, and on a regular basis? Constable had a notable and engaging theory for this, too. He believed the aerial things reflect infrared light, which is not visible to the naked, human eye. However, Constable also believed the critters can change color, something which explains why they are occasionally seen, and sometimes quite out of the blue. It's not a case that they are here one minute and gone the next. For Constable, that was only how it appears. They're always here, in massive numbers. We're just not physically able to see them in their natural state. Constable also concluded that this theory explained why some UFO witnesses had photographed UFOs, but had not seen anything out of the ordinary when they took the picture. In other words, when it comes to Constable's sky critters, the camera can see what the human eye cannot. Constable believed that even though the sky beasts possessed formidable powers that allowed them to remain out of sight, for the most part, they could be seen and photographed if one specifically used an infrared cinefilm and a suitable filter. Constable even put his theories into practice, in the heart of the Mojave Desert. He claimed to have had considerable success in California's Lucerne Valley. Constable did not shy away from publishing his photos, which continue to provoke a great deal of debate, and, at times, unbridled fury, amongst the UFO faithful. It's important to note, however, that Constable's claims did not stand alone. In May 1977, a UFO investigator named Richard Toronto, who had developed a fascination for Constable's theories, decided to try and replicate Constable's photos, also in the Mojave Desert. He claimed considerable success. As with Constable's pictures, which some researchers felt showed nothing stranger than aircraft landing lights, stars and planets, down-to-earth claims for the anomalies abounded. At least, they did amongst those UFO enthusiasts who didn't want to see their cherished extraterrestrial theories questioned. There is another theory for what both Trevor James Constable and Richard Toronto photographed. It's a truly fascinating one, which was postulated by the late UFO and paranormal investigator, D. Scott Rogo. It was his opinion, or, perhaps, his strong suspicion would be better terminology, that both men had unknowingly created the sky monsters from the depths of their imaginations and subconscious. And their psychic abilities allowed them to project their mind monsters externally, to the point where they had quasi-independent lives and could even be caught on camera. Whatever the truth of the matter, today, decades after he first began formulating his undeniably alternative theory for what UFOs might be, Trevor James Constable still retains a faithful following who believe our skies are not filled with extraterrestrials, but with large, flying, amoeba-like monsters. It so happens that Trevor James Constable was deeply interested in the mystery of the Men in Black. March 31, 2016 was the day on which Trevor James Constable died. Albert Bender, the man who in almost single-handed fashion kicked off the MIB controversy. Bender had passed on just 2 days before Constable. It so transpires that Constable had a deep interest in the Bender/MIB affair and concluded, back in 1962, that Bender's MIB were definitively occult-based in nature and origin. How do I know this? Because back in 1962 UFO writer Gray Barker published a follow-up, and far less known, title to Albert Bender's Flying Saucers and the Three Men. It went by the moniker of Bender Mystery Confirmed. It was, basically, a 100-page collection of letters from readers of Bender's book and who wanted to offer their thoughts and theories on its contents. One of those people was Trevor James Constable, the author of They Live in the Sky, and someone who believed that at least some UFOs are living, jellyfish-like creatures. Constable wrote the following letter to Gray Barker, which the latter duly published in Bender Mystery Confirmed. Dear Gray, it is difficult indeed for me, as an occultist with some first-hand experience of this field of UFOs, to sort out Bender's journeys back and forth across the threshold line between the physical and the astral. A biometric examination of Al Bender would probably indicate similar things to what it revealed about certain other researchers' total inability to distinguish between events on two planes of reality. Bender's honesty I do not for a moment doubt. His discrimination I would deem non-existent. It seems almost incredible that the man could relate the full story of the construction of his Chamber of Horrors in the attic in the way Bender has. This is what convinces me of his honesty. Nothing could be more logical, in an occult way, than that the invisible entities he invited by the preparation of this locale should indeed manifest to him, and thereafter proceed to obsess him for a protracted period, using hypnotic techniques that brought the man completely under their control. As to the nature of the entities involved, it seems that my writings about the imperceptible physical as source of many spaceships, or so-called spaceships, are only too close to the truth. Indeed, if Bender's experience has any value, I'd like to suggest that it certainly illuminates a rereading of They Live in the Sky. I don't believe I know of any case quite like Bender's, where a man seemingly oblivious to the reality and laws of the occult brought upon himself the energetic attention of aggressive occult forces. Certainly, the man can thank some kind of divine intervention for the preservation of his sanity, if everything he writes is true. Assuming that Bender has been truthful and honest, I would say that the lesson of his experiences is this. For the understanding of the UFOs and all the bewildering phenomena connected in this field, a working knowledge of occult science is indispensable. This lesson, driven home in innumerable ways since saucers came to mankind, is given new force with the Bender book. But few there will be who will heed it. It does not surprise me to learn of the various manifestations you report. In fact, an occultist would be surprised if they did not occur. The psychic lady in Cleveland undoubtedly provides enough, prana being a Sanskrit word meaning life force, voluntarily or involuntarily, to permit the near manifestations of low-grade entities drawn to her aura by her concentration on the book. The odor of drains and these occurrences in the toilet are old hat to occult students. It might give you pause to wonder just what you are setting on foot for some people, and undoubtedly drawing to yourself. Not for the sake of money did I suggest that you leave this kind of thing behind. The impulse to burn the book is mighty interesting. This impulse springs from the best kind of intuition. When the fire gods come, everyone else in the unseen departs. It's as simple as that, so the lady in question would have been well advised to consume the book in fire, as her intuition so rightly prompted her. The lady who returned the book was also wise, if she felt that way. Send it back to its source, a sound occult system of personal defense, if no higher knowledge is at the individual's disposal. What Constable was talking about here, with regard to one reader burning her copy of Albert Bender's Flying Saucers and the Three Men, and another one who felt so unclean and infected after handling the book that she felt the need to mail it back to Barker, were other people who had written to Gray Barker and whose accounts Barker privately shared with Constable. When I dug out the old copies in my possession of the correspondence between Barker and Constable, specifically for inclusion in an online article on the pair, the latter's words about the woman's decision to burn the book instantly reminded me of the words in my introduction to the Black Diary, parts of which, in draft form, were written around 8 months before Constable died. I wrote, "You'll recall, if I were to tell you to burn this book after reading it, I would only be half joking. in some of my darker moments, there's absolutely no joking about it, at all. From flying, alien jellyfish, and the macabre men in black, Trevor James Constable had a strange and amazing life. As many people know, the mystery of the MIB is one of my particular interests. It's likely that interest would not have developed as it has without the words and experiences of Albert Bender. R.I.P., Mr. B.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe to support this kind of content. See you on the next travel.